On Holy Terra, in the shadow of the Golden Throne, there is a bell that rings only for the greatest of the Imperium's fallen. It rang for Macarius. It rang for Solar Macarius, the Lord Commander who conquered 1,000 worlds. It rang for Sebastian Yarrick, the hero of Hades Hive, the old man of Armageddon, the one human Ghazghkull ever called his best enemy. Dead. Except he wasn't. After the third war for Armageddon, Ghazghkull did what he always does. He left. Not in defeat, never in defeat. He tore across the stars, gathering strength, building something. Whatever it was, Imperial auguries could not identify it. Every scan returned gibberish. Yarrick followed. He petitioned High Marshal Helbrecht of the Black Templars for passage with the Crusade fleet. Helbrecht agreed. Not as a favor, as recognition. One hunter acknowledging another. The fleet harried Ghazghkull from system to system, years of pursuit, the kind of war that grinds down ships and crews and souls without ever offering a decisive blow. And then they found him, on Ikaria. The planet was breaking apart beneath their feet. Ghazghkull had built his device, a mountain of ramshackle machinery bolted and welded and hammered together from the scrap of 100 conquered worlds. It split the skies with bolts of green lightning. The ground buckled, continents shifted. Icaria was tearing itself apart under the sheer psychic weight of orcish belief made manifest. And atop a rocky mesa, surrounded by warring armies, stood the Beast of Armageddon. Yarrick made his play. He formed up what remained of his flotilla, battered vessels running on stubbornness and duct tape. A single Fenrisian strike cruiser among them. He drove the fleet straight into the throat of the Orc Armada. No flanking, no maneuver, straight through. He landed a veteran strike force on Ghazghkull's doorstep. A barrage thundered into Ghazghkull, enough firepower to destroy armies. Smoke and flame erupted around the warlord. The beast roared, wounded, defiant. The Space Wolves unleashed a conjuration of Stormfrost, ancient Fenrisian sorcery that dragged Ghazghkull's hulking form down. Ice crawling across mega armor, locking joints, freezing muscle. It held for 3 seconds. Then it shattered. One sound, like a gunshot across the mesa. And Ghazghkull charged. Yarrick rose to meet him. The old man swung his power claw, the same claw he had torn from Ugelhard's corpse decades ago, and caught Ghazghkull square in the chest. Razor talons carved through armor plate, a blow that would have killed anything else in the galaxy. Ghazghkull had survived worse. The warlord seized Yarrick in his own grip, lifted him off the ground, crushed bone like dry twigs. Yarrick's body broke in the orc's fist, ribs splintering, augmetics sparking, systems failing. And Yarrick, broken, dangling, dying, headbutted him. A crack of skull against skull. Crimson painted the beast's face. Ghazghkull smashed him to the ground, raised an ironclad boot over the old man's skull, ready to end it, ready to pulp his greatest enemy once and for all. He stopped. A wicked grin spread across that brutal face. He lowered his boot, turned, and walked away. Victorious once again, Ghazghkull withdrew as the planet died beneath him. Icaria buckled in its death throes. Imperial forces scattered, ships fled, order collapsed. And in the chaos, no one noticed a black-armored figure moving through the wreckage. A skull-helmed priest of the Space Wolves, Fenrisian, silent, purposeful. He gathered what remained of the legendary Commissar, and he carried him away. Yarrick's fleeing forces reported what they had seen. Their commander broken, their fleet shattered, the beast triumphant. The reports reached Terra. They passed through the Administratum. They climbed the chain of authority until they reached the keepers of the most sacred traditions. And the bell of lost souls rang. One toll for each century of service, each strike echoing through the corridors of the Imperial Palace. Each one a wound in the memory of everyone who had ever stood behind Sebastian Yarrick and believed they could hold the line. The Imperium mourned. Armageddon wept. And in the medical bay of a Space Wolves strike cruiser, the old man opened his remaining eye. He would never be the same. His skull had been reconstructed, metal where bone had been. It ached, a constant grinding pressure behind his temples that would never fade. His broken limbs were held together by a cybernetic armature, not healed, braced. The machine was doing what his body could no longer do alone. His skin had turned pallid, grey-white, corpse-like, even by the standards of a man who had been old when most of his soldiers' parents were born. The wolf priest stood over him, skull helm, rune-carved armor, eyes that had seen 10,000 years of war reflected in genetic memory. He told Yarrick the truth. He was still needed on Armageddon. Then to Armageddon they would go. Ghazghkull Speedwag had already hit the surface. The fastest Orc armada ever assembled was tearing across Armageddon's ash wastes, engines screaming, guns blazing, dust storms in their wake. Yarrick's plea had reached the stars. Operation Imperator was underway. Space Marines were inbound, but they were not there yet. What arrived first was a single strike cruiser, Fenrisian markings, battle-scarred hull. Its ramp lowered onto Armageddon's scorched ground, and out of it walked something that was no longer quite a man. Thinner, paler, harder. Held together by metal and will, and a fury that had outlived his own body. The Steel Legion soldiers on the landing pad did not cheer. They stared. Some of them had served under him decades ago. Some of them had wept when the bell tolled. He looked at them with his one remaining eye, the bale eye long since dark, awaiting repair, or perhaps beyond it now. He said nothing. He walked past them toward the command post. There was work to do.